Oh my god. So I went to UCLA and majored in communications and then got some extra degrees at San Jose State.
Did my undergraduate at Santa Clara University in psychology, and then did graduate work at the University of San Diego. I don't have that one on, I forgot. And San Jose State.
And I did undergrad at Boston College, and I majored in education, a minor in theology, and then I did my graduate degree at Santa Clara and a bunch of credentials from San Jose State.
I went to UC San Diego for undergrad and majored in psychology, and went on to graduate school at Claremont Graduate University and a credential from San Francisco State.
I did my undergraduate at UCLA and studied mathematics, applied science, with the focus in management and accounting. And then I also got my teaching credential and a master's degree in education at UCLA. And then I got my other credential for counseling at Cal State Dominguez Hills and got another degree there.
I think when I started at UCLA, you couldn't go right into the communications major, so I was in kind of what they called the pre-com track and then transferred over into communications.
I switched I was philosophy with a pre-law emphasis, and then switched to psychology with a philosophy minor.
I didn't change.
I entered as a political science major with the intent of being like a senator or congresswoman, and switched that and found the psychology department.
I didn't change, but my second year was really tough for me. And when I was considering changing, I found out that UCLA had something called the Joint Math Ed program where I could get my teaching credential early. And so I stayed with math so that I could become a teacher.
Well, my communications major, I started out working for sports teams. So I worked for the San Francisco Giants for a few years and then ended up, because I had done so many English classes along with the communications major, I was able to switch and become an English teacher with all of those classes that I had done for my comm major. So even though I wasn't necessarily using the communications piece, I could use my English ones to teach English. And then when I went back to get all those graduate degrees to do what I do now, they're much more helpful in my job.
Yeah, mine switched. I intended to go to law school, but ended up really enjoying my psychology classes so much that I decided to stick with that as a major, and then went to a counseling psych program, and I'm here.
Well, when I went to college, I couldn't decide if I wanted to be an English major, an education major, or a theology major. So I chose colleges. In fact, all the colleges I applied to, I could have studied any of those three things. So that's how I chose my college. I also wanted a college bigger than my high school, and my graduating class was 650 kids. So I chose Boston College, which is a large urban university.
I knew I wanted to be in the city, and my number one choice school was New York University. And I told everyone when I was in high school, I don't care how much it costs. If I get into New York, I'm gonna go. And when I got the acceptance letter, I also got my financial notification and wanted to cry because New York was really expensive, and I realized that there was additional expenses as far as travel goes. So I actually didn't end up going, even though I got in, but I went to UCLA because it was a much more practical choice as far as finances went, and I had family in Southern California, and I knew that if I wanted to drive there from San Jose, I could. If I wanted to fly there, sometimes the airfare was very affordable. So for me and for my family, it made more sense.
I think I'm very similar to Mrs. Sullivan. I grew up in a small town in Central California where the population was 4,000 people. So I was looking for a really small college to feel comfortable, I think, more than anything else, and feel like I was part of a smaller community. And also, I really admire and value the Jesuit values of Santa Clara, so that's why I chose Santa Clara.
And I actually only applied to Catholic colleges, so it was really important for me to go to a faith-based school.
Yeah.
And I thought I wanted to be an actress. So I thought that I would go to Los Angeles because that was clearly how things worked. You went to Los Angeles. And then I discovered that I don't like what I look like on camera at all. So I needed to make some changes.
This is going to probably sound really nerdy, but I loved my classes. My teachers were so phenomenal, and my school has a big party reputation, but I really love the classes.
I loved the people and the connections that I made there. Some of my very best friends to this day are the girls that I met at my freshman orientation. So they're not people that I necessarily lived next to or had classes with, but they were people that I met on my very first day on campus, and we just stayed in touch, and they're my very best friends today. And those connections that I made, I can't replace.
I feel the same way. That's absolutely what I value the most from my college experiences. The social relationships I built with friends that endure to this day. And personally for myself, I feel the best decision I made in college was joining the Greek system. I loved the friendships I created in the house that I joined, and how fulfilling and supportive and true girlfriend they felt like that I had been searching for in high school and didn't really feel like I had found. And so I found that in college very intentionally by going through the recruitment process, looking for girls that I thought would be the type that'd want to like braid my hair and talk about boys and, you know, like just love you no matter whether you're right there or you aren't, you know, love you behind your back. That absolutely came true for me. And I also found that at a really large university like UCSD, that it helped me feel connected in many of my classes, because I'd know some girls, maybe even from another house in some of my classes, that we could walk back and forth from our cars together. Or I minored in Spanish literature with an emphasis on poetry, and it was pretty obscure and small. But I knew a guy through the Greek system that took most of the classes with me, and so I had a study partner and someone to, you know, walk with, and that made me feel connected on a really large campus.
And I didn't join the Greek system, but I still was able to establish those close relationships and those bonds, and be inspired by other people that you're close to is just a really awesome feeling.
Absolutely.
That it's behind me.
Okay.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
I think I just enjoyed learning. I think Mrs. Sullivan said this. She was really excited about her classes. I think back about the variety of classes that I could take, and a lot of the ones I took just for fun. You know, some of the religious studies ones, but even like a beginning piano, because I always wanted to take a piano class. So those were just thinking about the different classes I took and the friends I made really made me happy.
Absolutely. The course selection was awesome, and being able to take classes that, you know, were this is how I found a change of major and eventually a change of career path. But just that exposure to things that I found finally, particularly when I found psychology classes to be so interesting, I wanted to go sit in the dining hall and tell other people about what we've been learning that day. That felt so awesome, to be able to be kind of lit up by what I was learning.
I gotta say, I think for me it wasn't as much the classes as much as it was so fun. Like there was always something going on, or somebody was up to something that was really just fun and exciting, and saw plays and movies and went to sporting events and hung out just in dorm rooms talking, and just like all the things that you kind of hope your young life will be. And it was a time where not a day went by where you didn't think like, hey, something fun was happening, or at least tomorrow something fun would happen.
Yeah, I agree. Just that notion that you wake up going and having something to look forward to, whether it's I'm looking forward to my class because I really like it, or you might not look forward to the class, but you might look forward to seeing the people who are in your class and being able to connect with them. And that notion that even if you're not in class and you're not studying or working on your major or your project, you have other outlets and other people who are just as excited about whatever's going on.
I joined a couple of things. There was the Student Alumni Association, was kind of like ASB when we were there. They did big events like a big spring sing talent show and homecoming and all of that. In my second year, I ended up working at the athletic department, so that was kind of my hookup with all the cool stuff that was happening on campus and doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
I had to work while I was in college, so I worked in the dining hall from the first semester of my freshman year. And so, but it was fun. It was, all other college students, like really cool managers who were not that much older than we were. And so it was work, but it was a lot of fun. It was a way to get to know a lot of people.
I was on the yearbook staff for 3 years and then worked also in the dean's office. So I was able to kind of work with students, but also see kind of behind the scenes what happens.
Where I did clerical work, but got to kind of interact with those who were doing the research. So it was really different than what I was doing, studying that. I also worked in the athletic department as a front desk clerk. So it was nice because I got to get a lot of homework done and get paid for it, which was awesome. And then some outlets that I did was I joined different social clubs or activities clubs. So I tutored and volunteered, and I also joined something called the Hawaii Club at UCLA because I really like dancing to Polynesian music.
I'd just like to say, everyone says it's going to be the best 4 years of your life, but I'd also say be open to the fact that you might have some lonely times and you might feel homesick and you might miss your high school friends, which you probably will. So it is a fabulous 4 years, but I kind of resist that it's the best time of your life. It's going to be what you make it, but the best time of your life is right now and in your 20s and in your 30s. So it's a great time, but it's not like the be-all and the end-all, in my opinion.
I think along the same lines, just be open-minded. I know a lot of seniors and a lot of students have that dream college, which may work out or it may not work out for financial reasons or other reasons. Being open to colleges, because we all love the college we went to, very different colleges and types of colleges, but similar experiences and memories that we have of our time there. So being open to the college that you eventually end up at, and then to the experiences that you have when you're there.
Yeah, I would tell students to not think about the name and think about the experience that they want. And so whether that experience is going to be at a California State University, a private college, an Ivy League, what experience do you want to have? Because you can still have a really, really valuable college experience wherever you go if you pursue that. If you don't, then college could be really boring if you just go to class and go home.
I would say that's all true. It's what you're going to make of it more so than what it makes of you is what you're going to make of it. And I wouldn't give my years back for anything. I don't think they were the best years of my life. They were fantastic, but things are great now too. So I think that although I loved my school, if I had gone to Alabama instead, that would have been okay too. Like I would have thought that was great too. So I think it's just the idea that knowing who you are and what you really want, instead of trying to fit to what you think the college wants you to be, is probably my advice. That was clearly how things worked. You went to Los Angeles. And then
It's a little outtake.
I saw him crawling to his friend.
I knew it was coming.